Hello students, today we are going to discuss editing written discourses. Before we go into that, let us discuss the objectives. So first we discuss what is discourse and the types of discourses. We discuss to know how writing evolved as a process and what is the role of editing, the types of editing in second language writing. Next, thematic editing and with examples, and syntactic editing with examples. To know the features of morphological editing with examples, and to be aware of how written discourses can be edited. And at the end we will talk about what are the appropriate strategies for editing discourses. So first we discuss what is discourse. Discourse is a language, can be either spoken or written beyond the sentence level. Relationships and rules that govern the connection and interrelationship of sentences within communicative contexts. And discourse usually gives importance to meaning, and language exists in different types of discourses. For example, description, conversation, letter, message, report, poster, pamphlet, poem, etc. And the concept of discourse gives importance to holistic in nature. The concept of language learning can be possible holistically. Learners are evolved integratedly, and language is viewed not as a discrete aspect but integrated in the sense. Language does not exist in fragments or isolated sentences or words, but exists in meaningful discourse. And it allows every learner to learn language, to pick up either spoken or written meaningfully, contextually, by constructing knowledge of language, by deriving the meaning by the learners themselves. And moreover, every child can construct knowledge by associating the idea with the context of the sentence. And the concept of discourse also provides an opportunity to develop various skills like logical thinking, higher order thinking, problem solving skills, etc. So when we look at ESL or EFL context, discourses can be in various aspects. For example, there will be major discourses or minor discourses. Major discourses, for example, story writing, conversation, description, drama, interview, biography, essay, letter, etc. And the minor discourses, message, notice or diary writing, poster writing, invitation, profile. So writing is usually looked at in two major concepts. One, writing as a product, and second, writing as a process. So the concept of discourse construction and got much importance only after writing is considered as a process. So when you look at people like researchers like Jamal, they discussed writing as a process, and where writing is given much importance for meaning, message or language are holistic in the sense. So according to the researchers in 1982 and 83, teaching writing as a process presupposes issues of L2 grammar and lexis are to be addressed only as needed in the context of writing, not isolatedly. Next, ESL writing and revision multiple drafts are also permitted. Many teachers to hope that over time, as L2 writers developed, matured their L2 errors and concerns about linguistic accuracy in grammar and vocabulary use would decrease. So according to Rhymes 1983, Rhymes proposed a specific approach, that is a balanced approach to teaching writing, who talks about writing as a process involves writing as a non-linear, exploratory and generative process whereby the writers discover, reformulate their own ideas as they attempt to approximate meaning, according to Kroll 1996. And writing as a process deals with thinking, and learners think when they write essay or when they write any form of discourse, like whether it can be writing a drama, writing a description, writing a narrative, writing a message, there will be a lot of thinking process that goes into the writer's mind, and there is a need to communicate with determined form, and it deals with thinking and teacher's role is only to help students develop suitable strategies for getting started, for drafting or revising and editing. And editing, according to Kroll, which deals with attending to vocabulary, sentence structure, grammar and mechanics. Hence, writing as a process involves 4 important stages. 1. Rewriting, which includes strategies for getting started, and 2. Drafting stage, and in which learners are encouraged for writing multiple drafts, and revising stage, where the writers add something, delete something, modify something, rearranging ideas. 4th stage, which is called editing, which includes attending to vocabulary, sentence structure, grammar and mechanics of writing like punctuation or capitalization and spelling. The concept of editing provides an opportunity to provide one's thoughts effectively, to have effective communication through writing, and it also involves thinking, overall structure of the discourse that is written, and to understand the focus of the discourse, to understand the thesis and the supporting ideas of the discourse. At the same time, the concept of editing also provides an opportunity to understand correct use of punctuation, use of grammar, use of spelling, use of sentence structure, style, word choice, and which will play an important role for effective communication. So all this can be provided effectively only through effective editing. And to know the types of errors, what are the types of errors are related to theme, whether the errors are related to organization, whether the errors are related to grammar, whether the errors are related to vocabulary, this can be understood only through the process of editing. And to analyze theme, syntactic and morphological features of a discourse, and to help you slow down, examine one's own writing. Editing, it's not just for only to understand the mistakes in grammar, and it also provides an opportunity to understand the global theme, the concepts, and it avoids giving explanations about the mistakes that are done by children in vocabulary or in grammar. And it provides feedback. The feedback can be about grammar or about morphological errors, about the content or about the theme that is written by the learners. Now we are going to talk about what are the types of editing in this next aspects. So according to Anandan, editing can be categorized into broadly 3 areas. 1. Thematic editing, and 2. Syntactic editing, and 3. Morphological editing. First, let us discuss what is thematic editing. So thematic editing gives importance to the ideas, sub-ideas, the thoughts, the sub-thoughts that are expressed in the discourse, that is either in an essay or a letter or a biography or any form of discourse. And this thematic editing gives importance to, emphasizes on content and the organization of ideas, organization of words, organization of sentences, organization of paragraphs, and suitable introduction that is given to the discourse and the body of the discourse and the details and the conclusion. And at the same time, thematic editing also highlights the importance of ideas that are expressed in the discourse, which can be narrative or it can be description or profile or letter or essay. And this thematic editing emphasizes on the issues like coherence and cohesion. Coherence, which means the clarity of ideas expressed in description or the essay. Coherence, the use of conjunctions, use of connectors, use of prepositions, use of structural words throughout the discourse. For example, let us discuss how thematic editing plays an important role in. I am going to give you the criteria that is used, adapted when you edit thematically biographical sketch, letter writing and conversation and essay. So first let us discuss, when you look at biographical sketch, the following are considered as a part of thematic editing. So as a part of biographical sketch or profile or autobiography, the following are given much importance in terms of thematic editing. 1. Details of the person, presentation of the relevant ideas and information, organization of the data, interpretation of the data and the drawing inference, reflection, thoughts and feelings, anecdotes, events and achievements, point of view, in which point of view the biographical sketch is written, organization and the use of cohesive devices, use of conjunctions, use of prepositional phrases, maintaining coherence and flow. So, when you think about letter writing, the following are given much importance: appropriate language to be to the context, appropriate format, whether it is formal or informal letter, whether it is personal or official letter, layout, what is the layout, that is what is the structure and the conventions that are followed in letter, introduction, suitable introduction and body of the letter, and the kind of paragraphs that are used, that are written as a part of letter, and concluding paragraphs that are written by the student. Next, expressing ideas sequentially, what kind of sequence has been adapted by the writer, and use of persuasive language. If the letter is formal, what kind of language has been adapted by the writer? If the letter is informal, what kind of language has been adapted? All these are given much importance as a part of thematic editing when you write a letter. Here I am talking about what are given much importance when you write a description or an essay. So, the following which talks about what to be given much importance as a part of thematic writing, thematic editing. So, when you think about description, the following 4 are given much importance: 1. Variety of sentence forms, proper sequence of ideas, personal reflection of the event or person, appropriate cohesive devices that are used as a part of a description of a person or a context or a thing. Or when you look at, when you write an essay in the form of a discourse, what is the title that has been given? What is the introduction that has been adapted by the writer? What is the topic statement that is used as a whole and to every paragraph, and body and conclusion? Appropriate paragraphing, how the paragraph is, how the essay is divided into appropriate paragraphs with main ideas, sub ideas and supporting details. How are supporting details provided with examples? And organization of ideas, how ideas are organized, how sub ideas are organized, and how different ideas organized, and what is the point of view that has been adapted by the writer. So, all these become a basis when you go for thematic editing. So, second we will be talking about syntactic editing. Syntactic editing, which usually talks about, concentrates only on 3 aspects. One is on missing words. Missing words mainly, which includes structural words, for example, missing of articles, missing of pronouns, missing of helping verbs, or missing of auxiliary verbs, like. Next, excessive use of words means when you look at any discourse, are there any excessive use of words? Are there any excessive use of sentences that are used in the paragraph, that are used in the description, that are used in the biographical sketch? All these are to be discussed. Next, word order. What is word order that has been adapted by the writer in description or essay writing? Are there any changes, and is it appropriate? Is it formal or informal? All these are to be given much importance as a part of syntactic editing. Next, third type of editing, morphological editing, which gives much importance to vocabulary, prefixes, the choice of prefixes, the choice of suffixes, and the use of tense forms. So, most of the children, when you think about secondary level, the moment you talk about editing paragraph, first we need to check whether the paragraph or the essay is written either in present or past. So, most of the students make mistake in tense. So, that is for the moment you look at, you want to edit a paragraph, first we need to check whether it is written present tense or past tense, or is it a combination of present and past, because most of the children make mistakes in use of tense. Next, aspects, whether it is perfect tense or possessive aspects are used, and passivization. So, what kind of passivization are used, whether the paragraph includes active sentences or passive sentences. Are active sentences used properly or passive sentences adapted positively? We need to check. Next, agreement. One of the major problems when you write a paragraph or when you write a letter, lack of agreement between subject and verb, lack of agreement between pronouns, nouns, lack of agreement between subjective pronouns, subjective objective pronouns. Next, Case possessives, the use of possessive, another important area which comes under morphological editing. Next, affixes, use of affixes and use of prefixes, use of suffixes. Next, additional, apart from this, a paragraph can be also edited based on the use of punctuations. Are punctuations like comma, full stop, question mark, quotation marks, colon, semicolon, are they adapted properly or not? We need to check. Hyphens. Next, capitalization, the use of capitalization. Are nouns used properly in capital letters? And spelling mistakes. Spelling, most of the written discourses where you can find a lot of mistakes in spellings. So, apart from thematic, syntactic and morphological editing, mechanics of writing like correct use of punctuations and capitalization and spelling, these are to be given much importance when we talk about editing. We are going to discuss what are the steps involved while editing written discourses. So, when we conduct editing, should be always as a whole class activity through interaction, by dividing students into groups, by dividing students into pairs, by dividing groups into sections. Next, when you think about, when you give importance to editing discourses, first and the foremost aspect will be we need to give importance to thematic editing. That plays an important role. Next, thematic editing and checking discourse features. For example, when you go for essay writing, essay discourse editing, essay. So, we have listed out a few aspects that go into when you edit an essay, that are to be given much importance. Or else when you edit a letter, so what are to be given much importance? We need to think about giving importance to body, giving importance to introduction, giving importance to layout, giving importance to structure, giving importance to persuasive language, giving importance to other features that go into letter writing. First importance aspect ought to be given to thematic, the things, the features which come under theme. Next, apart from theme and discourse features, we should also give importance to, are there well formed sentences in the discourse? What is the word order that has been adapted by the writer? And what are the missing words? What are the repeated words? And what are the common errors that are made by the students? And are there any mistakes in prefixes or suffixes? Are there any mistakes in subject and verb agreement? And are there any mistakes in punctuation? Or are there any mistakes in spellings? So, when you edit any discourse, we should also think about what are the key phrases and key sentences, okay, that go into editing. And when you conduct editing, students should be placed in small groups, what I suggested previously. Let them read what somebody has written in the form of discourse. Discuss the major aspects, whether the mistakes are in terms of theme, whether the mistakes are in terms of vocabulary, whether the mistakes are in terms of structure. Next, teacher should allow students to evolve their mistakes by themselves. That is a major motto of discourse. So, when you think about writing as a discourse, we need to give much importance for understanding mistakes by the learners themselves. That this feature has to be developed by the teacher, okay, through this. Next, teacher should also allow students to know their mistakes independently and to understand the mistakes of the other learners and to learn from the teacher and to learn from other students. Finally, editing exercise should help students in groups reflect, suggest changes through effective consolidation of the teacher. So, according to Rhymes 1983, who proposed a balanced approach to editing discourses, and where he talks about other issues. First, when you edit, we need to think about what is the selection of topic and are the ideas written according to the topic or not. We need to check. Preparation of writing, was there any proper brainstorming activity before this discourse is written? How it is written, and whether there was any rewriting or not, and appropriate editing has been adapted or not. Was there any proofreading or not, or how a final copy is made? All these are to be given according to Rhymes. Next, during the process of editing written discourses, it causes a number of errors, numerous errors. For example, L1 transfer, incomplete understanding of the word meanings, or syntactic rules, or lack of understanding the title itself, or casual mistakes, regular mistakes. For example, most of the students all the time go on using capital letters. A lot of errors are to be considered particular, very important in ESL academic context according to Santos. And lack of subject verb agreement, this plays an important role when you edit discourse. This has to be given much importance. Are the students able to adapt proper agreement between subject and verb, and inability to identify correctly the noun phrases, verb phrases, or using the other aspects. Errors that have less impact on evaluation of students' text include word order. This will have less impact. Example, word order, verb tense, word morphology, word forms of verbs. Means, for example, when learners are able to use past forms or past participle forms, they may not be able to use properly. When you go for thematic editing, first we need to think whether students are able to present their ideas, whether they are able to present ideas or not. Is there any gap between the ideas? Are there any ideas which we can add? Let children go through the scripts, like we need to go on and understand. So when you think about syntactic writing, we need to look at, are the students able to use appropriate perfect forms of verbs, possessives, and appropriate use of possessive verbs, and appropriate use of sentences, appropriate use of morphological features, syntactical features, errors. All these are to be given much importance. So when you edit a written discourses, first we need to think, read the discourse or composition aloud as if you are reading the story. So when you want to edit a discourse, first read it loudly. Listen to your errors, listen to the words, listen to sentences, listen to the paragraph, listen to the incomplete sentences or phrases, sentences, ideas, and try to accommodate. Read one sentence at a time and think about, are there any morphological errors, are there any syntactical errors, are there any excessive use of words. Look for patterns of errors. What are the changes? First have an idea, are there any mistakes in grammar, are there any mistakes in articles, are there any mistakes in cohesive devices, are there any mistakes in the use of connectors, are there any mistakes in choice of words or excessive use of words. And finally you should think about, is there any relationship, is there any gap between the ideas, sub ideas that are expressed in the paragraph or essay. Next, know your grammar, punctuation rules, know your grammar. First look at the written discourse and think about, are the grammatical structures used in the description correct? Is there any overlap between the use of grammatical rules? After you edit a written discourse, follow the steps. Read the paper as a reader. Read it from the reader point of view when you write something. Read one sentence and paragraph at a time. Read backward. Sometimes when you want to edit paragraph clearly, first come from the last onwards. Read one sentence and paragraph at a time. Read backwards. Start at the bottom of the page and right side. Look at the words from right to the left. Check for spelling to typographical errors. So all these are various strategies that can be discussed as a part of editing written discourses.